Yes, so I've just got a couple of slides. Firstly, to say thank you on behalf of Veronica Lambert, who can't be here today. She's the chair, is going to be the chair of this group, and I'm the vice chair. We're very grateful for this opportunity to develop this special interest group for children's palliative care. We're really very excited. I think it's coming at a really good time. So I'm just going to give you, just set the scene really. Ambush is going to take over and launch the group. So children's palliative care, which I probably should have said in my earlier presentation, involves, using the WHO definition, it involves the active total care of the child, their body, mind and spirit, but also providing support to the family. It begins ideally when the illness is diagnosed and then continues regardless of whether or not curative treatment is received. So essentially it's like it's been described as a thread that runs through a child's life. It could be for a few days or it could extend over many years. So essentially it has been described to me by somebody who works very closely in this area as planning for the worst and hoping for the best. We know a lot, and there's a changing profile and the volume of needs for children's palliative care internationally. So with advances in medicine and technology, there has been reducing neonatal and paediatric mortality, particularly in high-income countries, but at the same time increasing survival of children with complex care and palliative care needs over longer periods of time. So the profile of needs is changing. There are significant evidence gaps in children's palliative care, both in Ireland and internationally, in particular this transition from child to adult services becoming a bigger issue. We need to understand more about the key challenges faced by families, particularly in the Irish setting. We need to understand more about respite. And I think there's a bit of work to be done on optimal modes of delivery and the costs of, whether it's hospice-based care or outreach, etc. I think there are some important questions to answer there. So I should have used the term research ecosystem, which Karen used earlier, which is much nicer than building blocks, but apologies, I probably did this late at night. But ecosystem or building blocks, the reason I think this group is coming at a good time is that we actually have a lot of the building blocks in place to encourage really coordinated research that will ultimately feed into policy and planning and delivery of children's palliative care services in Ireland. So we have our national policy setting for palliative care. So in the north, we have the strategy for children's palliative end of life care. And we have also the palliative care policy in 2009 for children in the Republic. But as has been mentioned earlier, we have a commitment to develop a new policy for children in the Republic, and also there was the DOH tender to evaluate the current policy. We have structures in place to deliver children's palliative care in Ireland. So we have, specialist children's palliative care teams. We have clinical nurse coordinators in the Republic delivering mainly end-of-life care, etc. We have a growing pool of researchers and research. And just to highlight a couple of the projects that are being undertaken by PCRN members, obviously the one I've just presented on, the AIIHPC, but also other qualitative research led by Veronica and also earlier research on transition to adult services. So there's a growing amount of work that's been done in Ireland and a growing coordination amongst the researchers. What I think is really interesting or really important is we have a multi-perspective implementation oversight structures. So for example, in the Republic, we have the Children's Palliative Care Strategic Advisory Group, which oversees the implementation of palliative care policy for children. This is a really valuable forum, which involves all the stakeholders involved in children's palliative care, but it's also really, really useful forum for engaging with the knowledge users. So as researchers, we have an instant access to present our work to the people who are making decisions on policy. And then most importantly, we have a growing PPI involvement in children's palliative care, which will just be so important for working together. We have PPI involved in our project, and I know there's been PPI involved in the other projects that have been taking place, and it's just so important to hear their voices because it's what they face on a daily basis is really important that we find answers to their problems. Thanks. So, in other words, we have everything in place to work together to build a coordinated programme of research to support children's palliative care policy and planning and delivery in Ireland. Thank you.